Hi, my name is Frankie Santos Fritz. I am a council member here in the city of Greenbelt, Maryland. I've been on the job for about 2 weeks, and I'm very excited to help serve the 24,000 plus residents of our city. I told a lot of people on the campaign trail that I wanted to run for council this year, even though I'm relatively new to the city, because I didn't know what the state of our city was going to be, much less the state of our country was going to be in 2 years. So much is changing so quickly in this moment. So many of our neighbors are under attack. I wanted to bring my experience as a community organizer to the task of city government to make sure that we are doing our best to provide for all of our residents. I was excited to run, and I was even more excited that on election day we had a record turnout here in the city of Greenbelt. I've worked in the labor movement. My background is as a community organizer. I got my start as a college organizer on environmental issues. I worked in labor, organizing and doing representation of workers for contractual grievances and bargaining. And I have also worked in the housing movement as well, working on issues like rent stabilization. My day job is in housing policy and public safety. So, I thought that I had a lot of experience that I could help bring to Greenbelt to help improve our quality of life here in the city. So I have always loved history. From a very young age, it was my favorite subject in school. Any human activity is part of history, right? History of science, history of sports, history of arts. And I think helping people tell those stories and create narratives to help them understand the world around them is really fun and enjoyable. Fortunately, there's not a lot of jobs in history, so I work in politics now instead. It's a little early to be looking retrospectively on my 2 weeks on the council, but I hope that people feel that I engaged the residents of our city in the process of democratic governance so that we can all live together in an inclusive and affordable city. Make sure that the founding ideas of the city of cooperation and really being a stable community for working people is critical. If I contribute in any way to that history and make this a more resilient, more vibrant community, I think I will feel like I had a successful tenure. I think to the past, we're going to the future. So, I can always go to the future, you just have to wait. Although then you might mess something up. So that's always the danger, right? The film I've watched the most was mostly because I took a politics of film class in undergrad. So I had to do my final project on a film, so I had to watch it multiple times. So I watched Snowpiercer, archetypical climate fiction, cli-fi, dramas. I think people that know me probably wouldn't be surprised that that's one of my most watched films, but it's my favorite place here in the city is the cinema. Get a popcorn, a soda, and a movie for $13, and walking distance from my house. So I'm just popping to the movies once or twice a week, every week. This isn't a paid advertisement. I aspirationally would be a two-person, but definitely coffee is normally what I'm using to get started in the morning. It seems like a great place to be in my later life, but at this point, it's normally the to-go coffee at the co-op or wherever I can get it fastest. I'm a big Formula One fan. Go see a race in the morning and then go to the farmer's market, get some coffee, maybe get a little pepperoni roll. I think that there's a lot to do right here in Greenbelt, an incredible park system as well. So, if you want to spend a nice cool fall afternoon walking around the lake. One of my neighbors does an annual music festival in his backyard. It's called Ridgestock. So that's a great event. Definitely, I'm a huge fan of the Greenbelt Utility Pole, the world famous Greenbelt Utility Pole. We really do have such a creative city. I'm all for keeping Greenbelt weird and inspiring the rest of the world to embrace their weirdness. In terms of comfort food, I grew up in Jersey, so it's not the best for my health, but bagels, real Northeast US pizza, New York City area pizza, just the mixture of the flavors, the sauce, the cheese, and then just incredible mouthfeel as you just have that piece of crust snap in your mouth as you take that first bite. And then the cheese starts rolling off the pizza, and you're really just trying to catch up with it, and you don't want to spill any, so you're just having this kind of cascading effect of the sauce and the cheese rolling off of this thin crust slice. I was stranded on a desert island. What would I want with me? That's a great question. think a water filter would probably just seem pretty boring, but utilitarian. Like that's my biggest concern, is making sure that I stay hydrated. How much city government impacts your life, and the role that the city plays in terms of advocacy for the residents. You know, this is your most local voice. Our job is to represent you, not just here in the city, but also to be your voice, part of your voice when it comes to what's going on around the county and around the state as well. You know, making sure that we have those relationships, that all these things are working together. I think the biggest challenge facing Greenbelt in this moment is the attacks on the institutions that so many of our neighbors work for and us depend upon. We have a lot of residents who work at the Department of Agriculture, who work at Goddard, NASA. These are huge employers in our city, and you know, the basis of a lot of our economic life. On the one hand, we need to work with our federal and local partners to protect those assets in our community, but also longer term, we do need to think of what does it look like to create a more resilient and diversified economy that is not so dependent on the tumultuous policy decisions that are coming out of Washington, D.C. When there are 7 people on the council, you know, I have to work with the other 6 to make sure that my priorities are, you know, moving forward. And that means, you know, listening and working cooperatively to understand what everyone's priorities are so that everyone can kind of make sure that we're staying on task. If we are able to pass a good collective bargaining law, if we are able to strengthen tenant protections, if we're able to improve compliance with code enforcement issues, if we're able to make some forward progress on becoming a more transit-oriented, bikeable, walkable community, and you know, our neighbors, you know, feel safer than they did at the start of this federal administration, I will think that that was a successful 2 years. In terms of the opportunities that are coming to Greenbelt in the next few years, whether it's the Armory, redevelopment of Beltway Plaza Mall, maybe looking at office conversions, I do think that we really could be a gateway district between the nation's capital, Baltimore, and the rest of the Northeast. We have this tradition of, you know, walkable, kind of visionary design. And if we embrace that and try to make all of our city kind of share that kind of connectivity, I think that we will really be an economic powerhouse for the region. We are really lucky to have this location that we call home. Yeah, I think that's one of the central questions of our democracy. How do we make sure that underrepresented voices actually get their fair representation? We have to make it easier to participate in civic processes. Something that I'm very excited about is the moving towards a universal vote by mail system. We already have a pretty comprehensive ability to vote by mail. You don't need to have an excuse. It's a no cause needed system, but I think we should just default to mailing people ballots and give people kind of time to look over the candidates, study the issues, and then send it back on their own time. At the top level, we need more people voting in our elections. And then working on ideas longer term, like participatory budgeting. So how do you bring people into the fiscal processes of the city? We're a renter majority city. Most tenants don't stay for very long because they don't actually have access to stable housing. So making sure that we have robust code enforcement, making sure that we are doing everything we can to keep housing affordable, that we're keeping rents down while also building more supply is important, so that people can have that financial stability that will allow them to have more time to spend participating in the civic life and the community life of our city. Remember, $13 membership movie deal, Greenbelt Cinema, great deal. Continue to participate in the civic life of our city. Yeah, and hope to see you around.